Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to do a bit of a rant about Lords of the Fallen 2 and mostly the development team, rather just the CEO involved with it. There's a whole grifting thing that's kind of annoying me, but I just want to go over it because it's a Souls-like game. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm massively into the Souls games. My whole channel started on the Souls series. So anytime there's a Souls-like, I'm always very, very interested in it, and I pay attention to all the news involving it. I actually played the original Lords of the Fallen in 2014, and it was fine. It was just okay. Like, I don't remember a single boss from it, but I played through, I think, the entire game. I have like 19 or 20 hours in it or something, so assume that was the entire game, but like I said, it was just very not memorable at all. So it was just fine. Now, the second Lords of the Fallen game, not Lords of the Fallen 2, because that's the third one, the second one, I actually was sponsored to play a couple years ago, and I got an hour into it, and I had to cancel the entire sponsorship because I just couldn't play it. It ran so poorly that I just couldn't even do it. So I had to just cancel all that, refund the game and everything. And then I had to just watch other streamers try to play it as well. So it's entirely possible that they've improved it, and that's great. But my first experience with it was obviously terrible. I couldn't even play it. And then I just had to live vicariously through other streamers and watching it. And from what I saw, it was just kind of more of the same, but more refined. It was like, again, it's like a Marvel movie. It's harmless. It's fine. It's not something you're going to remember 10 years from now. It was just something where you're just like, okay, this is fine. And that's really all I thought about it. Now, cut to today. Lords of the Fallen has been getting a bunch of shit from the developers to like doing a right-wing grift, and there's certainly a lot of truth to that. And this kind of started several months ago when, I guess, I don't know, for justification why their game wasn't doing well, they were like, it was literally the Principal Skinner meme. It was like, is our game mediocre and that's why we're not hitting our sales quota? No, it's the game was too woke and it had body type A and B. Therefore, the real gamers didn't want to purchase our game. So the first mistake that the CEO is doing is asking Twitter for anything. Twitter is stupid. You don't want to listen to Twitter for anything. I say this as an idiot on Twitter. You don't want to listen to Twitter for anything. First of all, it's biased. I'm not going to say which way it's leaning, but after a certain person took over, Twitter certainly leans a certain way. So when you're asking Twitter, should we have body type A or B or male or female? Should we have big fat titties and hot girls in our games? You're really asking a certain demographic of people. For example, I swear to God, the first person that I saw when I talked about this that was defending the company, I just clicked on their profile. The first person I looked at, their entire profile is just porn. It's just all porn. So these are the people that they're listening to. The people that are literally thinking with their dick for a video game. They can't just go rub one out before they play like Nier Automata or something. I don't understand why that is even a demographic you would want to listen to. That is not the gamers of the world. If we've learned everything from Twitter, it's that what happens on Twitter is basically irrelevant. Let's look at it in the opposite direction. There were so many people, hundreds of thousands of likes on tweets saying, don't play Hogwarts Legacy, J.K. Rowling is a transphobe, all that stuff. And we just found out it just sold 40 million copies. The point is, Twitter is not derivative of the actual player base that's going to be playing your game. So a CEO reaching out to Twitter and then changing the game based off of a couple of people that need to just jerk off and then actually making executive decisions based off that, to me, is fucking insanity. Why would you ever do that? Not only does it come across as grifting, but it also comes across that you have no confidence in your own product. And to double down on not having any confidence in your own product, they've just said that they're releasing the game on Epic Games Store exclusively, which, as we all know, that's where games go to die. Now, the reason they did this, I would theorize, is because they are not at all confident in their game. So Epic Games is good for developers because they typically will fund your game. And so your game is funded, and if it doesn't do well, oh well, you don't lose any money, that's fine. Conversely, compared to something like Expedition 33, which had a budget of $10 million, but they loaned it from Kepler. And if they didn't succeed, they would be in the red, and that would be really terrible. That's usually how a lot of people go, but they were so confident in their product, they knew that they were going to make up the money, and that was fine. So it's so funny, in their own fart-sniffing, we're listening to the real gamers here. And what do gamers want? Epic Game Store exclusive on PC. No, nobody wants that. And they said nobody wants that. And what do? They just go, oh, well. So they don't give a shit what the players actually want. They're just apps. That's like the most perfect example of proving that they're grifting. The utmost thing people care about the most is it being on Steam. And they're just like, nah, we're just going to take the bag because we don't know if this game's going to do well. And frankly, that is kind of alarming because they said they sold over 2 million copies of Lords of the Fallen. And they priced it at $59.99, which is, like $120 million. Now, obviously, it's not really that much because it's gone on sale a few times. There's, licensing fees and Steam takes a cut, all that stuff. So it's going to be a chunk of that. But the point is, they don't have any money, which makes me think their budget was insane for Lords of the Fallen, which it was. I actually looked it up, and apparently their budget was like 60 to 70 million, and a large portion of that was marketing. Apparently they spent like 20 million on marketing, which again, compared to Expedition 33, which just won Game of the Year, that's more than twice the budget of the entire video game. So I think they were up their own ass a little too much. They really thought their game was going to be the next Elden Ring with how much they promoted it and everything. And it turns out it was just another pretty forgettable, just okay, whatever game. And so this time, they don't want to make that mistake again, which is why they're going with Epic. They don't give a shit about what the players want. They just want to not lose money, or at least make some money this time, and Epic is where you go to do that. Like I said, though, every game that goes Epic exclusives, they just, not 100% of the time, but 95% of the time, the game just fucking dies. No one wants to go on Epic Game Store. Call us lazy, whatever. The truth is, everyone knows if you put your game exclusively on Epic, it's going to do badly. So that's why I have no respect for that decision as well, because it shows they're not really paying attention to what the gamers want, but they're just going off of what's going to make them money. But the whole thing is, like, this started pretty innocently, at least this recent discussion. It was a few months ago they had the whole conversation with, like, body type versus male or female. Who gives a fuck? But recently this started pretty innocently. Someone was like, hey, is there going to be attractive ladies in your game? And they just responded, yeah. And that's it. And then some articles extracted from that a whole mess of stuff. And I can understand that being kind of annoying to the CEO and everything. But ever since then, he has just been going on this right-wing grift tangent. Just like some embarrassing shit. Just look. Exactly. Insane censorship is over. Also, just retweeting Grums in general is just a fat L. Political correctness is bad for gaming. It's about escapism and immersion, not about agendas, he says. Just doing the other agenda. Let's settle this. How important are sexy, beautiful characters in RPG games? To gamers now, not to activists. Retweeting Journo melts down over sexy female characters, targets based Lords of the Fallen devs, and gets ratioed. Retweeting Forbes Baltassi melts down over beautiful women in games. Watch. Retweeting, I'm really looking forward to this game. Shit libs melt down over Lords of the Fallen 2. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I'm sorry, that shit for a CEO is just embarrassing. Imagine if Miyazaki was like, hey guys, we're busy designing the Melania fight. We were just wondering, for all the real gamers here on Twitter, you guys want Melania to have giant double D titties, right? And we're going to make it so Radagon and America, they're no longer two separate things. Radagon is male and America is female, and we're nixing that whole storyline, because this is what the gamers want. Could you imagine if Miyazaki was doing that shit? I would have no fucking faith in Elden Ring before it came out if he was doing that. The whole point is, when they make games, they know what they're going to make, and they just do it. And it's good, and it does well because it's a good video game. That's the whole point of all these discussions. I hate political correctness on either side of the discussion of whether or not a video game is good. When I describe Nier Automata, one of my top 10 favorite games of all time, nowhere on my top list for describing why it's in my top 10 are you going to find 2B's fat ass. Now, I am a straight dude. I like looking at 2B's ass. It is nice. It is ridiculously well rendered. I'm a big fan of it. But when I'm describing why I like Nier Automata, I'm not including it in my description. It's the music, the story, the gameplay, all that stuff combined, the incredible amount of shifting genres, the insanely good ending, what they do with the whole ending credits. Like, there's so many unique things about the game that make it a good game, and none of them are the fact that 2B has a fat ass. There are hot characters in a lot of games, and there's ugly characters in a lot of games. It is irrelevant to whether or not the game is good. And I just want that to be the main discussion that people have about the video game. I hate so much the grifting on really any side. I genuinely find both sides of it to be super, super annoying. I think if you go against the left side, you're likely to get more shit, particularly on Twitter. But it doesn't change the fact that I don't think any of these discussion should be had in determining whether or not you're going to purchase a game. Now, I'm not saying, like, if you like Baldur's Gate 3 because there's lots of, diversity and inclusion and stuff like that, and, like, so let's say you're trans or non-binary, and there's characters in there that represent you and you feel good about it, that's great. I'm not at all, saying you shouldn't take that into account when finding the game memorable. I'm just saying that's not the reason the game is good. It's something that you like about it, and that's wonderful. Just like I like that 2B's ass is fat. That's great. But it's not the main reason that these games are good. Elden Ring won Game of the Year because it's a good game. And it had, body type A and B. And you know what? No one gives a fuck. Outside of Twitter, no one gives a single flying fuck about what body type or gender, whatever is in the character creator. No one fucking cares. And the fact that the developer of this company, or the CEO of this company, is catering to that demographic who they should not give a fuck about, I find to be completely embarrassing. So here's the thing. What if Lords of the Fallen 2 ends up being a really good game? You're going to rub egg on my face and it's going to be so embarrassing for me. No. Here's the thing. It will be a great game in spite of the CEO being cringe. Just like how some right-wing people will find Baldur's Gate 3 to be a good game in spite of what they perceive to be cringe. The whole point is it's good if we just focus on the game itself. So if it's a great Souls-like, I will be very happy. Because right now, in my opinion, the best Souls-like is Lies of P. Hell, that game is so good, I think it's on par with legit some actual Dark Souls games. That is an honorary Souls game, in my opinion. But if we get another good Souls-like with Lords of the Fallen 2, I will be happy. It will be something fun for me to do. Why would I ever be upset about another fun thing for me to do? There is not a single downside to this game being good. There are plenty of Actually, no, I will take that back. There's one downside to this game being good, and that will be annoying as fuck people on Twitter going, see? Go woke, go broke. This game did so well because it has doesn't have body type. It's male and female and titties. See, that's what you need for success. And that will continue to fuel the conversation that it's not about being the game being good, but it's about these just superlative things that don't matter whatsoever. And then they'll just ignore Baldur's Gate 3, which is the gayest game ever made, despite being an incredible video game. So that's the whole thing. I would hate to see that shit. If it's a good game, let's say it's a good game and talk about why it's a good game. I think the political correctness argument in both sides it has no merit in determining whether or not the game itself is good. And I pray that we are able to get to a point in society where that is all that is relevant. Again, if there's other elements like that in the game that you enjoy and it appeals to you as a person, that's fantastic. And more power to you for enjoying that. No one is ever going to take that away from you. But can we please just bring gaming back to talking about gaming? When I grew up, that's all we talked about. Is the game good? Is the game bad? That is all that matters. And it seems we have lost our way and people are just sticking their own ass in with agendas and stuff. And to see the CEO of a company doing it is just embarrassing, to say the least. So that's the end of my rant about Lords of the Fallen. It might be a great game. And if it is, fuck yeah, I'm happy to play it. But they are being cringe as fuck right now. There's no way to avoid it. So that's it. Rant over. See you next time.